I'm so happy to be here tonight with all of you in a room full of inspiring animal advocates. Really, it sounds like a cliche, but it's only together that we can create the kind of societal shift that's needed to protect animals from the horrific suffering and institutionalized cruelty that is happening every day. It's for them, the voiceless, who right at this moment are squashed in cages, their feet mutilated with pain, languishing in ships, crossing the globe only to face further suffering on the other end, being beaten, misshot, skinned, taken from their mothers, tails, teeth and beaks, cut off with no anesthetic. The list goes on, and it's for them that we must work and continue to work. Together we can change this, and that's why it's so important for us to join forces and support each other. And one of Voiceless's key focuses remains building the animal protection movement as a social justice movement, and why we have a multi-pronged approach using all tools at our disposal to achieve this: law, political advocacy, corporate responsibility, and public education and engagement. I'll tell you a little bit about what we've been working on this year and some of our campaigns. Firstly, we've been working to reject ag-gag laws. We've exposed a federal ag-gag bill where we successfully argued in a Senate committee, resulting in the bill being withdrawn. We're now fighting ag-gag. We're now fighting ag-gag in South Australia, and Voiceless will continue to fight this legislation across Australia that targets undercover investigations and allows systematic animal cruelty to continue and escape detection. We're working to ban sow stalls. This was recently achieved in New Zealand. We exposed the so-called phase-out by industry of these horrible cages and brought the public's attention to the issue. We ran a cinema advertising campaign showing the reality of sow stalls. The ad was viewed by over 200,000 people across Australia. And then we helped to draft state legislation to ban sow stalls. We're also working to ban live export. Personally, I didn't know that pregnant dairy cows were also being exported. Learning about the horrific dangers that these pregnant dairy cows are facing while being exported alive overseas. We created a campaign where thousands of Australians joined forces to end their suffering, signing a petition calling for an end to live export of dairy cows in particular. Soon we'll be presenting that petition to the Australian Senate, where this collective voice will become the foundation of our advocacy efforts going forward. Again, with dairy cows, we created a report, as many of you have seen, exposing the suffering in the dairy cow industry and exposing the truth behind our romantic view of the dairy industry. Our cutting-edge report received huge media coverage. We had 11 print, 50 radio, and 19 online stories. And it was really the first time that Australians got a behind-the-scenes glimpse of what dairy cows and calves are going through. What else have we been up to? We've been writing countless submissions to government, lecturing across the country at universities and public events on animal law and animal law reform. We've been witnesses in Senate inquiries and in regular consultation advising government on law reform and legislation change. A couple of our wins this year: we stopped an intensive dairy farm in Kurnow in New South Wales. This totally indoor system was intended to house 1,000 dairy cows. Thankfully, Voiceless and the local community were able to expose the plan on planning and environmental grounds. Another achievement was related to kangaroos. Voiceless was instrumental in lobbying California decision makers to reinstate the ban on kangaroo products from Australia. California was about to lift a ban on kangaroo products following intensive lobbying by the Australian kangaroo industry and the Australian government. We co-authored a letter with the UTS's Institute of Sustainable Futures to key California decision makers opposing the bill. And we also work closely with the team at Kangaroo at Risk and the Humane Society United States, presenting signatures for an open letter from 70 prominent scientists, academics, and other notable figures opposing the bill, and it worked. The bill failed. This means that the California ban on kangaroo imports will be reinstated in January 2016. We defeated the Ag-Gag bill in South Australia. There's now a new one introduced, and we're working to defeat this again. We've had a couple of great events this year. We had our law lecture series, which was our biggest and best ever. It examined the efforts of the Non-Human Rights Project. We had 2,000 individuals across 7 cities, and it reached 1.64 million Australians. Our Rethinking event, we had a groundbreaking panel discussion on the dairy industry and the ethics of dairy farming. And our Rethinking event was featured in full on ABC Radio National program, Big Ideas. In terms of media coverage, the media is really addressing and taking heart all these animal protection issues now more than ever. We've had 48 newspaper magazine articles, 60 online articles, and 133 radio and television appearances. I want to mention, the slide is coming up, a new project of mine. As many of you know, I'm living in Israel at the moment, and I've created a sister project of Voiceless called Franimals. There it is. Nobody can argue with the little kitten, sleeping kitten. It's a global community of teenagers from around the world who love animals. It's a social media platform, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and a website, and it's highlighting key animal protection issues across the globe, from wildlife to domestic animals to farm animals, and getting teens engaged in animal advocacy. We have about 10,000 followers already on Facebook, and thousands of people reading the posts from countries across the globe, such as the Philippines, India, the US, Brazil, Germany, and it's very exciting. If any of you have ideas for issues that you would like highlighted, please let me know, or people that you would like featured. I'm always looking for new and inspiring content. We have an Thank you. We have an expanded team this year, a new junior legal counsel, Sarah Margot, and a fundraising officer, Zoe Blake. So welcome to them. And a couple of new projects this year. We've established the Australian Non-Human Rights Project Working Group. The aim of this group is to determine whether it's possible to seek legal personhood and therefore legal rights for non-human animals through judicial or legislative reform. And this, of course, is connected to Stephen Weiss in the USA and the Animal Law Lecture Series that we had. It's a really exciting, groundbreaking project. As well as our Voiceless Legal Advisory Council, we've collected Australian animal law experts, which now provide Voiceless with legal advice and commentary on key animal protection issues. I'd like to now introduce Emmanuel Dufresne, our legal counsel. He'll come to talk to you a little bit about the work of the legal arm with Voiceless. Thank you. Thanks very much.